Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And we're just 2 weeks and 1 day away from polling day. And so as we approach, the polls, the YouGovs and the Ipsos Morris and all that become increasingly more significant because as each day approaches and passes, it's a day less for the parties to turn anything around and change. And so if you are in a bad position, it's going to just continue to get worse. Your depression will increase and your knowledge of defeat will surely harden, crystallise, become immutable. And that, it seems, is what's happening for the SNP. Because, yet again, another poll has come out and it isn't good for them. And they know now that it's over. They must surely see that they are in massive trouble. Because it isn't just the loss of seats at Westminster that's the problem here. It's the sort of concomitant money that they receive alongside it. Significant money. And it's going to go poof and evaporate and not be there. And that's a shame, and I find it very, very difficult not to shed a tear for them. Let's have a look to see why they're in trouble and what the latest polling is. This time I believe it's from YouGov. So not one of their own paid for polls, but more of a genuine one. Let's take a look. Now, before we get into it, I will ask if you definitely like the videos. Do please put the thumbs up. That really, really helps. It helps spread each video out. It's good with the algorithm. And if you're a regular who's yet to subscribe, now's an excellent time to do so. And if you are someone new to the channel, also an excellent time. Indeed, with the election coming up, you won't want to miss. So hit that subscribe button, help the channel grow, helps us with the algorithm, and it gets out all the truth that we're trying to push. And, of course, to highlight all the fun stuff that's happening, such as the SNP falling off a cliff and with absolutely no idea at all on what to do about it. Everything they do seems to make things worse. They launched their manifesto and everyone just looked at it and went, wow, taxes. Because that's all they've got. They've screwed up so badly. The only way they can do anything is to raise taxes massively and make people poorer. So, poll misery for SNP as party trails just 2 weeks from the general election, despite Labour support plummeting as well. So, where are they going? Because if the SNP aren't picking them up and Labour are falling, these votes have got to go somewhere, haven't they? So Keir Starmer might be feeling a little nervous with Labour support falling 5% from the last YouGov poll, but the party still enjoys a lead over the Nats. Indeed, it's about 5%, I believe, something like that. But they're not being complacent about it. They do know that they've got a tough fight in Scotland. I think it's very telling here that you've got the SNP leader there, but rather than doing the Scottish Labour and Scottish Conservative leaders, they've decided to go with the national ones. Interesting choice, I think. Anyway, the SNP has been dealt more polling misery as it fails to win back voters just 2 weeks from the general election. But Sir Keir Starmer might be feeling a little nervous after his support plummeted. It puts Labour on 34%, which is down from 39%, a 5 percentage point drop. But don't worry, you're still well ahead of the SNP, because John Swinney is failing to make his mark with voters. And support for the SNP does increase, but just 1% to 30%. She's still 4% clear. It's still going to give you the big vote. I think the reason Labour's support plummeted is that Labour released their manifesto as well, not their official one, that comes out, but there's been enough leaks about it to show also how they are going to be raising taxes, they're going to be punishing people, they're going to destroy the oil and gas industry and things like that. So obviously it's weird like that, but also of course that they're saying that it's going to be under Labour acceptable for men to enter women's changing rooms. Again, not entirely sure how that works in Scotland. Not at the UK level. This isn't Keir Starmer. He's finally admitted that men are men and women are women, and only occasionally do they meet. But Anna Sarwar's Labour Party in Scotland has refused to give the commitment, and it seems weird, doesn't it? Who knows? Anyway, the Scottish Conservatives enjoyed an increase. They've got 13% from 12%. They've gone up 1%. May save a seat. Who knows? The Lib Dems remain on 8%, while support for reform has risen from 4 to 7%. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where it's gone. Now, that is a very, very weird statistic. Because it means in Scotland, and this is astonishing, in Scotland, support has come from Labour to Reform. Now, you'd assume that Reform were the Conservatives' home. It would be Conservatives fed up with the Tory party jumping to Reform. But it seems in Scotland, it's Labour supporters jumping to Reform. That is astonishing, isn't it? The Scottish Greens are in line to win 6% of the vote, according to the polls, which means no seats whatsoever. Same as Nigel, he'll probably not get a single seat in Scotland on 7%. But it's telling that it's 7%. It's gone up. It's taken votes from Labour. And that is truly astonishing. Anyway, in a further blow to the Nats, the poll also shows the Constitution is a motivation for just 29% of voters. And that means, with them on 31% of the vote and only 29% of voters wanting the Constitution changed, it means that not even all Nat voters, SNP voters, want independence. Odd, innit? 35% of Scots thinks that John Swinney's doing a bad job, compared with 30% who think he's doing a good job. And again, the 30% is lower than 31% who are going to vote SNP. So SNP voters don't think he's doing a good job. Not all of them are stupid then, it seems. On independence, 53% of Scots would back the union once the don't knows are removed. The survey also suggests tactical voting won't be as prominent in Scotland as in England. I suspect it may well be. I know a great deal of you good people are talking about tactical voting. So I think it may well have some influence. And it would be nice to see. After all, it's the SNP that must be defeated. We don't care who goes in. It's getting the SNP out. Just 26% of Scots are voting to stop a party rather than a party they want to vote for, compared with 1 in 3 down south. And of those who are voting tactically, it's still a quarter. It's still a quarter of the voters voting against a party. That is significant, regardless of what they say. And of those who are voting tactically, 51% want to beat the Tories, while 43% want to get rid of the SNP. 43% voting to get rid of the SNP is an excellent thing. Labour are strong in the central belt. SNP face losing a swathe of seats if the polls are correct, with just one of the past 10 polls have not shown a Labour lead, and it was Ipsos, of course, showing that the two parties are neck and neck. Ipsos, a party that gets $5 million a year from the SNP government, not the SNP party. The government pays Ipsos that. So obviously Ipsos are going to give them buns for elephants. Coming up. So as we tick-tock our way down towards the election, it seems there's no respite for the SNP, and that Labour in Scotland are falling as people are switching to Reform. And I honestly can't get my head round that. The thing is, if the momentum of that carries on, who knows, Reform may well earn perhaps just enough seats, or just enough votes to get a seat somewhere, possibly. Don't know, but it isn't looking good. And with the tactical voting intentions being as they are, I think the SNP are in a lot more trouble than even they are thinking. And it's up to you, good people. Do it. Get them out. Doesn't matter who you vote for, remember. It's who you're voting against. Thanks very much for watching. Do please hit that subscribe button. It massively helps the channel. Definitely hit the like button. Again, helps the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.